Clara was an undergraduate research intern in the small fruit horticulture program at the WCU Northwestern Washington Research and Extension Center. And she did for her undergraduate research project a trial looking at different cultivars of high bush blueberry and looking at their adaptation. A little note, so you'll notice on the agenda that it also says raspberry fertilization. Clara's not going to be talking about that topic. She did a study where she looked at banded versus broadcast phosphorus and potassium fertilizers and if there was any differences in plant uptake. And basically she found out there was no difference in their uptake and plant growth. So she's not going to be talking about that, is going to be focusing on her high bush cultivar trial. So Clara, feel free to come on up here.
Hi, everyone. As Lisa said, I'm Clara Tevelde, and I am a recent graduate of Washington State University. And she also said I did an internship with her this past summer on the high bush blueberry cultivar trial. So we performed this trial to assess the potentials for new cultivars to come into Whatcom County. The reason why this is really important is because a lot of these new cultivars are developed outside of our county or Washington State in general. This results in cultivars that are potentially bred with different breeding criteria than what we would want in Whatcom County. So this cultivar trial mainly focuses on making sure that these cultivars can potentially adapt to growing here and what potential issues we will have to figure out how to mitigate to make them successful in our area. So some plot information for you. This was established in 2015. The first harvest was taken in 2016. And we had 3 blocks with about 3 plots per block with 3 plants of each cultivar in it. It was conventionally managed and fertilized once a week for the whole season by drip irrigation. And there was weed mat put down during the season and taken up during the winter to try to reduce vole damage, even though we still had some vole damage, but you know. And we also put down bird netting to prevent losses from yield from bird predation. Here's a picture of our plot down in the Mount Vernon Research Center, and the cultivars are listed on the side. We chose to use Elliott, Blue Crop, Liberty, and Duke as our industry standards. So I'm going to kind of go through a few of the cultivars that we looked at, some of the new ones. So Top Shelf was a promising one that we saw and has very similar characteristics to Draper, and it's known for its fruit size, plant vigor, and flavor. So Blue Ribbon is another one that we looked at, and it's known for high yields of firm and flavorful berries with a good post-harvest shelf life. CALYPSO is another one that we looked at, and it is cold hardy, easy to grow, and has very large yields. Last Call was another one, and it is ripens in the same window as Aurora and Elliott, and it is a potential replacement for Aurora or Elliott. And it also has high yields of large berries with high quality flavor. CLOCKWORK lives true to its name and has a very highly concentrated ripening time, and they're extremely good at being machine harvest, and it has a true potential for a single pick harvest, which is very useful. Mini Blues is kind of a fun one that we looked at, and it was developed for the baking market. So the fruit was very small, but produced a lot, and it has a really good post-harvest shelf life. Cargo is high yielding and maintains their firmness and flavor during refrigeration and storage. So now I'm going to discuss some of the results with you, and what we looked at was firmness, yield, fruit size, sweetness, and we did a little fun taste panel down at the extension. So the yield we looked at, we found that top shelf yielded the most, and Blue Ribbon and Liberty were similar, but everything else yielded less than top shelf, with Elliott and Mini Blue being the lowest. And as you can see, the yields are shown from greatest to least on the graph. So the average berry weight that we found, top shelf, Calypso, and Cargo had the largest berries and was similar to Liberty. And Blue Ribbon, Last Call, and Blue Crop were in the middle, but similar to top shelf, Calypso, and Cargo, as well as Duke. Mini Blue had the smallest weight and was similar to Elliott and Clockwork, but the size of Mini Blue was expected due to the market that it was bred for. And Elliott was also expected to be small due to the poor performance in the trial that we saw. And the small size of Clockwork does follow the trend of last year in 2016. And the high weight and top shelf demonstrates the cultivar's potential to produce high yields of very large size berries. Some of these berry weights could be improved by modified pruning strategies, and Cargo is an example of that. And we observed improvements in the berry weight after modified and aggressive pruning in that cultivar. So we also looked at firmness. Mini Blue was excluded from this due to the small size not working well with our Firm Tech, which you can see in the picture down here. Duke was the firmest blueberry we evaluated, followed by Cargo and Clockwork, and both the good performance of Cargo and Clockwork could suggest these cultivars are adapted to machine harvesting for fresh and good post-harvest storage potential. Top Shelf and Blue Ribbon were also firm and similar to Cargo and Clockwork, as well as Last Call. Last Call was also similar to Elliott, although we did observe that Last Call was to maintain firmness better on the bush and in storage longer than Elliott in this trial, and on other farms we visited in 2017 for machine harvest work. BRIX. For the BRIX, we found that Mini Blues had the highest BRIX at 17.3, and Clockwork was similar with the BRIX at 16.2. Blue Ribbon and Calypso are similar to each other, and Clockwork, Blue Crop, Top Shelf, and Duke are also similar to each other. Liberty and Last Call also sharing similarities but trend to a lower overall BRIX. Cargo and Elliott had the lowest BRIX at 13.9 and 14.1 respectively. BRIX in these last two cultivars could have been improved with delayed harvest, but fruit had to be harvested because they were starting to soften on the plant, particularly in Elliott, where this is known to be an issue. So the taste panel was something fun that we kind of did. We weren't able to include all the cultivars simply because of the timing of it. So I'm sorry for the poor quality photo, but there's where it was. It was down at the Mount Vernon Research Center, and we had staff and faculty and grad students come and attend. And we found that people really preferred Blue Ribbon, and that was followed by Clockwork, and Blue Crop, Baby Blue, and Top Shelf were all tied equally for third place. So for some future research needed, we think that post-harvest life needs to be looked at a little bit further, just both refrigeration and fresh, and pruning techniques for fruit size would be another avenue to go down to look at, and larger plots to see how they would do on a wider, larger basis, and potentially being able to machine harvest them would be useful as well, since our plots were kind of tiny and we can't get a harvester in there. And we had a lot of issues with voles, and they were like all over the place and eating all our plants. And so if someone wants to come up with a way that effectively manages voles, that would be awesome too. And I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge Jim Lovelace with Fall Creek Nursery, Dr. Chad Finn at the USDA Research Service, and just to mention, Mini Blues used to be called Baby Blues, and Chad Finn developed that. and the WSU Undergraduate Research Intern Program. And of course, my advisor, Lisa DeVetter, for taking time out of her summer to mentor me and help me through this project. So is there any questions? Awesome.
I got a question about the firmness measurement. Did you measure directly after harvest, or did you pre-cool and then keep them in storage for a while? And then when you did test them, did you bring them back up to room temperature?
We did do directly after harvest. So what I would do is I would harvest, I would do all the weights of everything, and then I would bring them in and do firmness.
Well, thank you, Clara, for sharing about your internship experience.
Did I miss anything? Oh, perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for your patience.